Trigger warning. This episode may contain content that could be distressing to some listeners. Listener discretion is advised. Welcome to the New Earth Studios podcast, Bring Your Truth with Alex Roseman. We'll be bringing on guests that will be bearing their soul, their transformational journey from the old earth to the new earth, bringing about the balance of duality and reshifting our perspective of how we see things, because in the new earth, it's all about love, it's all about inclusion, it's all about unity. So if this is something that you're interested in and you want to put your focus in unity, unification and love, this is a podcast for you. Thank you so much and hope you enjoy the show. Right, welcome to our beautiful cafe. It's so awesome to have your light energy, your vibrancy, your just sort of uplifting, cheerful nature. I could even hear it through the answers to the questions and about your journey up to this point that you're going to share shortly with everybody. And I found it so fascinating, so enlightening, and so important for this time at the moment. So really appreciate you coming here.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Alex, for having me. Thank you for building this beautiful safe haven, this green haven, this lighthouse, this new earth cafe that is bringing health and vibrancy into the heart of Dubai. So thank you for doing that, and thank you for putting on this platform for healers, guides, teachers, leaders of light to come on and share their frequency, their wisdom, whatever they have to bring forward. Thank you for providing us with this platform. Thank you.
Very beautifully put, Kat. Really appreciate you being here. And you know, those who recognize it, because having something like this come through us, I felt like I was definitely in the old earth realm. And you're going to be sharing your spiritual awakening, what that looks like. And it's so important because I didn't even know what this is really about. You know, New Earth Cafe, the podcast, what is it? I'm sure something's going to show up out of this. And it's attracting people like you, your awakenings, the funny stories about how we get to our awakening. So other people can relate to you to kind of go, oh, I'm not alone. There is something going on. It's not just me. And then they can feel they can feel at home, at ease. And, you know, this cafe is something that's born out of love. You know, it's a place that we can come, bring the family. It's sugar-free, gluten-free. It's a safe haven. And very rarely do I leave Al Barari myself. You know, this is our sort of center, our place to be. So thank you for appreciating that. So I just wanted to say, that regards to frequencies, the old earth having one frequency, the new earth having one frequency. I know there's people sort of freaking out about, you know, what's happening, the transition. And what I'm hearing, and my guides are telling me, that when we operate at a certain frequency, we will only see what is within our frequency. So we'll attract what it is that we are. So the new earth being something that you attract. So whenever's going on, this ascension, this new shift, going through different dimensions, it's a matter of just staying in that frequency, having that spiritual awakening, and just aligning to that energy. So we'll be focusing on the new earth and letting go of the old earth. That's just an idea for everybody who's maybe looking into what we're about to get into. But Kat, I would love for you to start, I say to everyone, the beginning, whatever the beginning is for you.
The beginning for me. Well, piggybacking from what you just said, I'd like to, before I forget, because as I go off on telling my story, I might forget this part.
Please.
To give you a visual, I'm a very visual person. I receive visuals and kind of analogies and description of things. When you think about new earth and old earth, think of it as two concentric circles that are colliding. Like one is descending down onto us. And in a way, I like to explain it to people. We are going through ascension. It's a word that's out there. But ultimately, it is our souls descending, more of our soul essence, our soul frequency, descending into our bodies. And it is not just us existing on higher frequencies, it is us being able to anchor and hold that light in the density that we're in. in the old earth that, like you said, we might not be really perceiving things the way that they are for most people, because we are seeing it, we are seeing the good, we are seeing the love, we are seeing the acceptance instead of the judgment, because that's what we are putting out there. But ultimately, it is our capacity to hold that light, to hold that divine wisdom, divine truth, divine will, and be channels and anchors for it. I like to call it the acupuncture needles. That is the work. It's not just existing in holding the higher frequency. It's truly anchoring and being those beacons of light, as you're doing with this beautiful space, and everyone who comes in here feels something different because the space has anchored it, because of how much of your soul frequency you have anchored and you have brought into the space. We can feel it. We feel your frequency here.
Thank you. My wife, well, hopefully you'll meet her one day as well. High frequency. Something's happening here. And I love that you shared that. Now, how did you get to that place?
Okay.
How do you know this?
I was not always like this.
I'm sure.
I was born in Soviet Union in Russia, which was very very black and white in some ways. And my family left when I was 12, and we've lived in several different places until I settled in United States 24 years ago. So my last 24 years were in United States, and moved different states, different places there. Went to college for my dad was a big believer in, you have to have a career that supports you. So I pushed away my creative dreams and majored in economics and Mandarin Chinese in college.
Wow.
And I was gonna go and work for United Nations or something like that. But life had other plans. I met my husband in college. He was on stage singing Bad Moon Rising, and I just swoon.
Wow.
My soul recognized his soul when he was singing. And I followed him to Austin, Texas, where he was from. He went to law school there and had a pretty normal life, career. Worked in advertising, worked in product development, in IT, in marketing strategy, all kinds of things. Until when I turned 30, something happened, and I just said, this is not what I'm meant to do. This is not it. This is not it. This corporate world, like this there's something else. And I couldn't quite figure out. And for me, creativity really was the gateway to grow my intuition, to flex that intuitive muscle. And I went and got trained as a jeweler. My grandfather was a jeweler, and I went into working with what I love most, crystals, gemstones. I grew my company in San Francisco. That was my first business. Had my son in San Francisco. He's now 11. And pretty quickly, we had my father-in-law passed away. All things started happening very quickly after that. I started seeing tarot readers, psychics. Like, you could feel something was brewing. Something was coming to the surface. But there was a part of me that really wanted to grab onto the 3D world. We gotta have a career. We have to buy a house. We have to, live in this kind of neighborhood. The kids have to go to this kind of school. It was very, very much the conditioning. The conditioning was running the show. And we ended up moving to Austin, Texas, and my daughter was born pretty soon after, and she was, I think, 6 months old, where I had this nudge again. You're meant to do something creative. Keep going, keep going. I started another creative company. It was for little kids, and suffered severe burnout. Being a very type A, very driven, I one day spiked a really high fever. It was Epstein-Barr monovirus. Spiked recurring from previous college, young age. my health and wellness journey is a whole other podcast episode.
Well, you can maybe delve a little bit into it. Let's see how far we get.
Oh boy! So I ended up getting a really high fever. I fell down, passed out, hit my head, got a concussion, got up, and still drove to the post office because I had to ship the 400 orders that needed to be shipped. Like, that tells you the state of my mindset at that point, how driven I was, how I was ignoring the cries of my body, how disconnected I was from my body. And that was my wake-up call. That day I was like, I don't want to, why am I doing this? My husband works 100-hour weeks, and he's an attorney, so he was working crazy hours, really stressed at his job. Here I was creating stress when I didn't need to. So I embarked on my healing journey through all things, nutrition, supplements, meditation, all things. And then I ended up selling my company and calling a timeout on all things life, except for tending to my body and my inner world. Because at that point, life put me in timeout. I felt like I had 2 little kids, and here I was chasing something, some form of fulfillment, something. And 2 years of doing the healing work, something new started knocking on my door. Something new that was more metaphysical this time.
Okay, so
Sorry,
the
that
creative.
was a lot.
No, that's great. All right, let's then go into the metaphysical. So, what do you mean by something metaphysical coming along?
I started. You know how, and I don't know if you remember this from your own spiritual awakening journey. Suddenly, things start glowing for you, like a Reiki sign or a astrology reading or a metaphysical fair. And I started going to different astrology readers or whatever it was, kind of getting my foot in the door. And everyone I would go to see would tell me, "You're so clairvoyant. You're so intuitive. What are you doing here?" And I would say, "What are you talking about?" And it's only in hindsight 2020, it's only looking back, do you realize, oh my gosh, every time I brought out a new design in my creative business, I was channeling source. I was channeling that creativity was the creative force working its way through me. Okay, so I am intuitive, maybe. Okay. And then March 13th, 2020 was the day that I was basically woken up in the middle of the night. I sat up in bed in the middle of the night. I picked up my phone and I heard this voice, and the voice, clear as day, like a megaphone in my head, started speaking about, this is what you're here to do. You're here to speak the words of love and deliver the message of heart-powered living. And I was like, heart-powered living, heart, Valentine's Day card, no, we're not, no, heart, no. And I said, okay, I'll do it, but I'm going to do it on my terms. And that lasted for 2 months. I ended up renaming my company to Heart Powered Living because it was all about the heart. It was always about the heart. And now I get it. So that was the beginning. And it wasn't easy, because one of the gifts that came through was this, all the guidance just comes in. It comes in, and sometimes it comes in as being able to see all the timelines, all the different possibilities. And the old cat wants to jump in and do it all. She's like, oh, let me build this now. She doesn't realize that maybe that's in 20 years. I don't know if you've ever had that.
I suffer that. I'm actually, a friend of mine, a psychotherapist, said, look, you're addicted to relationships and action. And I am an action guy. I'm a doer rather than a human being, which I'm learning. But to go back to you, right? You had this spiritual awakening, this megaphone voice. Mm-hmm. What do you think was the catalyst that led to that voice coming into your life? And how did you know it wasn't you or a guide?
Well, I knew it wasn't me because it was talking about using terms and words that I don't use. Even the concept of heart-powered living, I ended up Googling, what is this? And nobody was talking about it. So I knew it was something different. And it came as a very much, I call it my soul mission brief. Like I was handed my brief in a very dramatic way. And it doesn't mean that I took it and said, okay, thank you. I tried to control with my very active mind and very action driven like you. And I tried to steer the ship. I tried to change the name of the company. I tried to do all the things they told me not to do. I was afraid to call myself somebody who taught people how to live from the heart. I thought maybe I can be a lifestyle consultant. Maybe I can do energetic interiors or something like less painful for my husband to digest.
Is that what was your key resistance?
It was, we were living in a very affluent neighborhood in Austin where spirituality, metaphysical stuff wasn't, the dollar and materialism is God, right? In most places. I didn't want to be different. I didn't want to be an outcast. I didn't want to be rejected. I didn't want to speak up and share my words and then people talk about me. You know, that like being seen as someone different. And I didn't want to rock the boat with my husband. That was a huge part of it.
Do you think that stemmed from your relationship? I mean, look, most of it does. Your relationship with your parents. I mean, how would they see you if you spoke like this?
My parents are very much in this realm, like
that's
very,
awesome.
very open and very connected. My mom always told me when I was 2 years old, she went to a psychic and she told her things about that would happen in my life. So they were both very open. I think
cool.
my husband is more the pure, logical, this is what we do. The government said, and it was COVID. Remember,
Okay.
This was March 13th, 2020.
Okay.
So we were in lockdown, and all of this was unlocking and bursting inside me. And here I was in a lockdown with someone who, what do you mean you're hearing guides? What do you mean? What are you talking about? Energy healing. Go to see a regular doctor. Like all the things.
It's kind of like something out of X-Men, when suddenly you find out that you have these powers and they send you off to this special school.
Yes.
Come to the New Earth Cafe. Let's hear all about it. Let others know around the world.
Yeah.
It's not just me. No, I get it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you obviously attracted him in your life to balance you out,
Yes.
right? Or was he your sort of mask?
No,
in a sense, like,
no.
I'm a normal person. It's okay. I have him. I'm functioning. I'm not hearing these voices.
It's really interesting because a lot of the women I work with and I meet who are in this field, in this space, we have partners who are earth signs, Capricorn, Taurus, Virgo, like very grounded. And what I know about them is that they volunteered to act as the anchor, as the protector, as the container until the time comes when they can shed that and flip the switch and join us. But one of the greatest gifts that has come from going through this journey with a partner that is of a different consciousness is that made me the compassionate and accepting person that I am, that I wouldn't be if it wasn't. I had to accept him and witness his unfolding as it was happening without trying to change it, without trying to speed it up, without resisting. I mean, I tried to walk away. I tried to free myself from what I felt like was the anchor that was dragging me down until I realized, oh my gosh, like he is the most beautiful, kindest, gentlest, caring human. And here I am. I am the one that is being judgy. I am the one that is evaluating his consciousness by his awakeness.
That's beautiful that you shared that. Now, I want to delve into that a little bit because maybe there's people watching this who are going, I'm awakening, but my husband or my wife or my girlfriend or my mum, dad, whatever, they're the anchor or they're the heaviness and I'm light and I want to go and do this. How would you speak to them?
Yeah. I actually have a free workshop on my website that's called I Am Awake, They Are Not. And it takes you, it's an hour-long thing.
That's awesome.
Go watch it.
We'll put the link in there.
Yes, in the show notes, please. It's, you have to see this relationship, whether it's your parent, your best friend, your boss, your romantic partner, you have to see it as an expansion portal. They are, we can talk about soul contracts, but I don't like to assign all the labels to things. You have to see them as a mirror, as a teacher, as a guide who is having their own experience. They're teaching you that you're not to control or resist their experience. You're not here to control or resist life. You're here to work on yourself and learn to embody love and acceptance towards them, towards someone you really butt heads with, someone you really disagree with, someone you find yourself judging. And in softening and releasing that resistance, you are becoming more of the embodiment of your soul. You are doing the work through this. And it doesn't mean you have to stay with this person, but if you're choosing to leave from a place of anger and rejection, that's not a time and place to leave. You need to leave from a place of self-love, love for them as another human, witnessing and honoring them where they are, and then you can leave, if that's what you want to do.
Beautifully said, because I know from personal experience, unless you've learned the lesson, that energy in that format or that
it follows
will just
you.
show up in a different form.
It
And
follows
there's
you.
no way of getting away from it. So you may as well deal with what you have there and then, because ultimately people just want to be accepted for who they are, and that's when they transform. So what are we really accepting? Aspects of ourselves that we have yet accepted, that we recognize in the other person. Suddenly there's this split that's happening. We feel somehow self-righteous maybe in our lightness, in our awakening. And that's also something I've had to check in myself, the ego, regards to this awakening. I feel unique. I feel special. I've got this mission, the new earth.
Special snowflake.
Beep,
Yeah.
beep. Watch
Yeah.
out, Messiah complex.
Yeah.
And, and it's a matter of, okay, I now need to be aware. And it's a continuous unfolding. So
Continuous.
a lot of people can get on their high horses, spiritual healers, and they feel like they're the ones, because I know that from myself. So how do we navigate that for those who are listening
Checking yourself.
before you wreck yourself?
Living in self-awareness, constant self-awareness. But I think honestly, and there's not a time frame for this, but everyone goes through this. Everyone has to have that experience so that they can alchemize it and move through it, whether it's the wounded healer or the Messiah complex, whatever you want to call it. And in softening to the experiences with others and yourself, because at some point you also have to forgive yourself for acting in that ignorant and self-righteous way. And I remember my husband actually pointing a finger back at me at some point and saying, "You think you're so special because you have this." And I said, "Oh my God, did I make you feel this way? Did I make you feel this way?" And I realized that it's only when we make somebody else feel safe and we lead by example, we actually embody the things that we're preaching. Like, can I embody New Earth instead of like talking and trying to change the world and trying to change you to be more New Earth-like? Like
100% agree.
Yeah.
That is a lot tougher
Yeah.
than actually,
Yeah.
saying it's one thing, but
yeah.
actually being it, that is what my journey is still
Yeah.
uncovering,
Yeah.
like, wow, to actually be that on a daily
spiral,
basis.
because this
Oy.
journey is a spiral. And somebody might say,
Yeah.
when I had my spiritual awakening, I'm like, no, you are still on it.
Exactly.
It's a spiral. And you know what? We all get stuck in these loops. There's these loops that get stuck that we get stuck in, and they keep replaying. And sometimes we think we're out of them, and then it will come back in a bigger way with a new teacher, with a new experience. And it's our job to have that awareness, to catch it, to say, there it is. I have a choice right now. This is the moment. I get to choose differently. I get to choose from my heart, from my higher consciousness. as my higher self. Ah, I'm a wiser me now. I choose different. And the universe goes, bravo, you graduated onto the next
Yeah,
spiral.
exactly. It's like it's a computer game.
Yes, you came out of a loop, you broke the loop, and you are moving up onto the next. And it's not to say, I'm higher than you, Alex. Oh, good for me. You know, it's we are all in it together, and we are also all fractals of one great source.
When I read that, because I've been hearing a lot about the fractal holographic universe and things like this, so that's beautiful. I would like for you to explore that, and then we're going to go back to Austin, March 13th, and go from there.
Okay, so when you think about our souls, most people are on their awakening journeys are very concerned with figuring out, who am I? Where did I come from? Am I connected to Isis? Am I connected to Shiva? Am I connected to Mary Magdalene? Thinking the ego is still looking, right? Am I connected to this galactic family or this whatever, angelic, whatever it is? Again, it's the ego trying to figure everything out. And it's normal. We're human. We have this built-in mechanism that has kept us safe for millennia. But if we zoom out, and holographic universe can be hard for somebody to understand, so I like to explain it with the color rays. If we think of source as this spiral of white light, just pure white light coming from it. If you imagine a prism through which light splits into the different rainbow colors, right?
Refraction.
Yes. You come out as the green frequency that you are, and your soul, which is much bigger than you, all of your soul can fit in your human body, is this bubble of green energy that says, wouldn't it be interesting to go and have an experience as Alex on Earth at this time with these people, and plop, here you are, a drop out of the white light, green, but then ultimately the white light. So here I am sitting here with you, a drop of maybe the blue or the violet or the yellow or whatever it is. And we are learning from each other. We are mixing the colors together as we are sharing consciousness. And ultimately, if you were to zoom out and pull our consciousness and our energy out of our body and keep going towards source, towards the ultimate spiral, we are white light, right? We are all one source light, one consciousness that got split into different, like put through the colander and turned into all of these different little droplets. Another analogy can be a kaleidoscope. If you think that it all came from one great mirror, and we are all little pieces, different colors, reflecting something to each other, but ultimately we are all one piece. And we are a tapestry that is being woven, that is being put together on this journey, a collective spiraling up journey towards reunification with Source.
Well, it's funny how you're speaking is like how I write, and I've even used ChatGPT to kind of like do tapestry, kaleidoscope, all these kind of words. It's like it's mirrored back to me as you're saying it. I'm like, my goodness, this is like I've been here before.
Because our consciousness right now is mixing here, literally.
In the collective.
Like we are, yes.
Yes, well,
yes,
in the electromagnetic field,
yes.
right?
And we are tapping into the collective field,
yes.
because this is also ChatGPT is probably also tapping into the
exactly.
collective field.
It absolutely is. It just mirrors it back to us and saves us time as if we're action oriented, like let's go, go. It's a perfect tool for that. Beautifully said. I mean, you know, we live in a world of duality, right? And so I looked at it as if we're matter, we're also antimatter simultaneously. And what happens when you have matter and antimatter connecting? It creates what's the word I'm looking for? Well, photons, and photons are light. So we're ultimately coming together like this, creating this flash. And we're witnessing the flash like a projector in every single moment simultaneously. And then we're creating this image, which is our internal world that we're looking from, right? And I mean, it's really quite something to get your mind around, but
Yeah.
you can't get there with your mind. And I'm sure your husband is like, what is going on? And
Yeah.
you're coming from your heart,
Yes.
which then brings us back to
So
March.
I'm gonna say to you, you just described, you painted a picture just now, and there might be some people, maybe a lot of women who are more connected to the emotions and the heart, and they're listening to this. Okay, but what is the practical application of this? Because somebody might want to, the mind might want to run with it and explore it more. And to you, when you were talking, I was seeing in ancient Egypt, they had the principle of Ma'at. Ma'at is the balance, the harmony, the creation of all of life. And you have to have the chaos, right, to the two coexist. And you have both of them within you. And you are here to bring that balance and to explode that light from your heart. That is how New Earth comes to be birthed, through the flash from the heart. When Ma'at, the principle of Ma'at, which is balance and harmony in the outside world, but it can only come when we bring our inner worlds on an individual level.
So how do people then go about bringing that about?
Okay.
You know, connecting, because you're going to go into
This
the heart
brings
thing,
me
right?
back to March 13th.
Okay, I knew we'd get there. I knew we'd get
we came
there.
in a very spirally way.
Of course.
Okay, so heart-powered living, the name was given, and it came with a methodology, and it came with this wheel of life, wheel of heart-powered life. And it's a very practical way of looking at how does one go about living from the heart. What does it mean to live from the heart, and how does one go into living from the heart? So can we do something real quick before I go into the description of
Sure.
it? Okay. If you are listening to this and you're driving, don't close your eyes. If you're safe at home, you can sit down and close your eyes. So we'll play this little thing the guides call it mixed love tape, and it gets you into your heart. And the reason why I want to do it now is so that you can receive the rest of the teachings from a very heart-centered, heart-powered way. So the way that the mixed love tape exercise goes is you close your eyes. If you're driving, don't close them. And let's take a deep breath together, because I know I've been talking and the energy's flying. So in and out. Allowing your mind to soften, your face to soften. Maybe allowing a smile to appear on your face, telling your body it's safe to relax. And I'm going to ask you to bring to mind a memory of a moment where you felt the deepest love. It might be for a partner, for a sibling, a parent. Sometimes we have difficult emotions towards people, so a pet might be an easier one to connect to, or a place in nature. For me, it's my dogs. I imagine sitting there and petting my dog. The goal here is to bring it fully into your body. Relive this experience fully. So bring it into your awareness. Bring it into your body now. Notice how your heart might change, how in the center of your chest you might start feeling warmness, lightness, how it's spreading through your body. Keep playing it. Another memory, your favorite spot in nature, a moment of intense love and gratitude. Maybe it's love for the earth. Maybe it's love for yourself. Okay. So what happens here is we turn on the frequency of the heart. We are bringing up the emotion of love, which is energy in motion, and the frequency of love that comes with this emotion now starts running through our system, running through our body. So now you can feel your heart turning on and radiating that warmth through your body. Maybe you can see it as a color, or just feel it as a sensation. Maybe new images will start flooding your imagination. And if you like, imagine projecting this love out of your heart, out into the world, either as just your field from your heart moving out, or you can do it in a figure eight. So I'm going to show you. I am sitting here in front of Alex, and I'm going to imagine from my heart center, from my heart space, I'm focusing this energy. And in a figure eight, I'm sending it out towards Alex, sending it towards his heart, and allowing the intelligence of the energy of love to touch his heart, to move and expand within his heart, and move from him in a figure eight back to me. And now there's this figure eight infinity sign between Alex and I, moving back and forth. And we can do this with people, we could do this with places. I can say, my brothers and sisters here in Dubai, in UAE, I'm expanding it beyond Alex. I'm sending it to all of you. Sending it out and knowing that it comes back tenfold, magnified back to me. How does that feel?
Wow.
You feel it?
Yeah, it's just a very beautiful process.
Yeah. And it's simple, and you just have to find this heart anchor, this simple, for me it's my dog. And the more you practice it, the quicker it becomes. So next time you're in traffic and someone pisses you off, play the mixed love tape.
So don't give them the finger, go into the Infinity 8.
Yeah, yeah.
Now that was really, and when you said like you were passing it to me, I could feel like the heart opening, I could feel there was love coming.
Yeah.
And then it was reciprocated back, which was beautiful, because it meant it was sort of amplified. It wasn't just, just me taking it. I was able to give back. It was really nice. I would love to know what everyone else thinks, if they had what effects they had from this. It's beautiful.
And
thank you.
This is a beautiful practice when you're resisting your partner, when you're condemning something about them, to do the figure eight to them. They might be sleeping next to you and you're like, he's driving me crazy. Send the figure eight towards them. Yeah.
That's a beautiful practice.
Yeah.
I think it's something that if we start focusing on that, especially when you mentioned, when you have your awakening and you feel like your other partner is, in their place, and then we might have our own judgment about that, having that compassion and empathy. And, my wife reminds me, whenever we're going through something, we are one.
Yeah.
We are one. So, if I recognize something or I'm not liking whatever it is, she is me, and we just have to, appreciate and understand and get to that place of acceptance, which is a process. And I feel like it's going to get exponentially more challenging over the years. And it's now a matter of time of this awakening, us being the example and being able to walk
Modeling
the talk.
it. Yeah, modeling it.
So going back to
Yes. Okay.
March 13th.
So the principles of heart-powered living, the way that they dropped in was in this wheel, which is really a spiral because it never ends. So the first principle of it was living an intentional life, being truly connected to your values, as coaching industry would put it. What are your values? What are your heart's desires? Who are you? What are the qualities, aspects of your soul that you came here to embody? Really connecting to that and bringing that intention into everything you do, how you spend your money, what you eat, everything. The second one is mindful, and mindfulness all-encompassing, meaning I am present, I'm aware of everything around me, I'm grounded in my body, I am compassionate, I'm forgiving, I'm accepting, non-judgmental. So living with that mindful presence. Mindfulness precipitates awakening and intuition. So intuitive living is the next one on the wheel. And that really is an invitation for us to stop living from the ego, from the fears, from the subconscious mind that might be running faulty programs, or to relying too much on the logical, and allow our body to give us clues, to give us signals, to guide us, and to allow the intelligence of our heart, which is a portal to source, which is connected to all that is, to allow to develop a voice. It is only when we quiet the mind through mindfulness and presence can the heart speak, because the heart voice is much gentler. So that's intuitive. The next part of the wheel is creative. You are a creator being. I create as I speak. I create with my thoughts. I magnetize all to me with my activated open heart. You are a creator being. And as you heard from my experience, for me, having a creative business unlocked my intuition, unlocked this potential in me. The next part of the wheel is conscious living. You are awake and aware to the world within and around, to the energy of your body, the learning about the energetics of your body, energy healing, learning to work with your own chakra system, with your toroidal field, with all of it, getting really curious in this space, as well as the outside. Because something that can happen on our awakening journeys, we go within too much, and we don't realize that there is an outside world. We shut it out. Oh, that's too ugly. That's too painful to look at. And this teaches us that we can exist in all planes. We can have awareness of it all, and we can live from this place of neutrality, divine neutrality. So that's the wheel, the 5 segments around, and in the center. So when this dropped in, I was like, okay, we're done. And they were like, no. Divine love is missing. And I was like, the wheel turns with the divine love. In the center of it all, you have this willingness, you have this desire, this deep desire, this prayer, this devotion to living as a channel for divine love, divine will, divine wisdom, and truth. So you are a channel for whatever life wants to move through you. And that's the principles of heart-powered living.
Wow, that's beautiful.
And it breaks it down to where lay people, muggles, can understand it and want to participate in it. Because what this does, the way that the guides sold it to me, because they said, you'll have to seduce your ego into working with you here. When you can live from this place, you experience a life of magic. You experience synchronicities. You get to experience what it's like to be a true creator being. And I was like, okay, I'll give it a try.
It's not a tough sell, is it really?
No, it's not a tough sell. Not a tough sell. But it takes work. It takes self-awareness. It takes action. It takes,
that kind of work, like we have to go through the shadow aspects of ourselves, which is ugly work. I'm no surprise that most people want to stay where they are, want to stay logical. And I know I was like that, because going there, it's like, why would I want to go to a place that's pain? That ego wants to avoid that. But then for you, when it came, like my wife and I, we were given the New Earth emblem, the roadmap, and it was still sort of uncovering it. And I'm like, wow, I'm really having to do some deep work here. How did it show up for you, and what was your process like? What was it for you? How did it look for your own personal journey as you're the first guinea pig, right?
So for me, and that's what they said. They said, we're not going to give you the full roadmap. We'll give you pieces, but you're really good at flying by the seat of your pants. You're good. You're good.
That's why they gave it to you.
They gave it to me. And they said, it always starts with mindfulness. It starts with remembering who you are and all of that. But the wheel starts turning when you start becoming mindful. So I did what anybody would do. I signed up for some training. I went and got trained as a meditation teacher and started meditating. And my favorite meditation practice was metta. And this was COVID lockdown. I would sit and watch the sunrise every day. I would do metta. I would stare at the sun, the first rays that was coming in. And I would start receiving. And I would pick up my phone and I would start typing what was coming through. And it was through flexing this muscle, because channeling and all of it is a skill. It's a muscle that you have to flex. And you have to trust, and you have to follow the advice that is coming. And I followed. And it was the energy of love delivering. They didn't give any name what they were. They just said, we're the energy of love. Stop looking. Stop trying to put labels on it. And just follow. And open your heart. And open your heart to your husband. Open your heart to somebody who might have different views. During COVID days, that was really easy to find someone who had a different point of view than you.
That's for sure.
Yeah. And I allowed it to unfold. And I followed the breadcrumbs with a lot of patience, with responding when I would find the right mentor, the right book, the signs and helpers always appear. Always.
You mentioned the sun, because when we look at the sun as it's just about to rise and it's just about to fall, the sun has light codes. And you're talking, I mean, this is when you look at it, you're actually receiving light codes, and it helps with your pineal gland, right? It's the opening of it. And especially in the world that we live in, it's all calcified, when they're doing the COVID tests, they're putting it here, it's like, no, not my head. And there's a lot going on, like the chemicals they're eating and drinking. Do they know? Do they not know? Conspiracy theorists are like, all we can do is, nature's around us. We can do our very best, like you did. When you were sitting there, you were receiving these codes, and then you were writing. So, but how did you know to do that?
It felt good. I did it once. Why don't I go do that? And I did it, and it felt so good. And I became addicted to it. What was my other choice? To be stuck on Instagram or on looking at CNN on TV? It was a time. And I think many of us had a similar experience. It was comfort. It was love. Like, I felt that love. And they would also say, you are the bridge. You're the rainbow bridge between old earth and new earth. You are the warriors of light. You're needed right now. And you would feel the duty in a way, not from the ego, but, oh my gosh, I remember I volunteered for this. And what you were saying about staring at the sun, the first morning light, and the science behind it. When I was in Egypt, the memory that came through was being the priestess of the morning sun, where that was my job. I would look at the sun, and I would record the codes that were coming in. I would be receiving, because our sun is a satellite for what's beyond it. The spiritual sun, other star systems, all the things. It's transmitting to us. And I would then go and tell them what to put on the walls, what hieroglyphs would go on the walls. Not as a prophecy of the future, but recording in the past of how the timeline would unfold.
And
it's all there. It's still on the walls.
That is beautiful, because I'm going to go to the walls in a moment, because we're receiving this information. It's all within our genome. We carry this information. Light is all about carrying information. Our DNA, apparently, for each individual, stores all the information from the beginning of the universe until now. This is how much information we carry, and we're atoms, 99.9% space.
Yep.
So we're light. We carry information. This
and
is
water.
ultimately.
And water.
And water carries information. I mean, we're starting to find out that this is all about carrying information. We're like this archaic records. I can't even say the word. You know what I mean. And it's funny that you mentioned the writing on the wall. That's where the phrase probably comes from. Because it actually inspired us to put these words on our juice machines and our coffee machines, affirmations. Because the Egyptians had these writings on the wall, and the water would come out over it, because they knew that the words of affirmation would charge the water, so people would drink it. And so we've incorporated it here.
It's all about water, and they knew it. And of course they knew it. It was, and it is still all about water. And it will be even more so about water.
Please, can you expand on that one?
Okay, so this is my version. Oh, cheers. Cheers. Have a sip.
This is our new earth water, brought back to source from in Najik. And it has Andara crystals.
Oh, the chanting.
In the machine.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. So water, I like to compare it to the womb of the mother, to something that holds the intelligence of all of life. And the Ankh symbol in hieroglyphs, key of life, to me that is source. It's life with a capital L. And that's what's what water is. It's source here on earth that is here to hold us as we would be held in the womb of the mother, that is here to provide the remembrance of who we are, why we're here. It holds the codes. All the intelligence is in the water. And it's the most life-giving substance that we have, the sun and water, right? It's all about the two. And when I say it's all about water, is we are being asked to work with it in our own bodies because of how much water we have, and speak to it as you speak with the signs, so that we can encode our bodies, so that we can get to the DNA level and start shifting that and turning on things that are ready to be turned on.
That's funny you say that. It's like an activation. I've been hearing so many different people talking about this sort of, we have this gene within us that can be turned on, turned off. Like apparently there's ancient civilizations before who potentially created us, Anunnakis and things like this. I'm not sure if you know of.
Yeah.
From the, before, and, we were put here for a reason, but they created us, but then they didn't realize that what they created was actually potentially more powerful for them than them.
Yeah.
So they had these genes within us that they can activate and turn on and off. And our telomeres have been capped, apparently. Mm-hmm. So I do this meditation in the morning and to kind of uncap the telomeres so that in the biblical times they can live up to 1,000 years old. But apparently, we've been capped to live up to 120 max or something, right? Anyway, I'm kind of going off a little tangent there.
No, are you a believer in Atlantis, Lemuria, all of that?
I'm seeing it like more of like
coming
evidence, and I'm pulled to it, and I'm a logical person, but at the same time I'm just like, you know what? I prefer to kind of go that direction than the kind of we are from gorillas or apes or whatever it is. But actually, there were ancient civilizations, and we're starting to see the records, and it's And I seem to resonate with that, more the expansiveness than the rigid school learning,
The reason I ask is because the belief is that the Atlantis days were the last golden age, the golden era that we had, where everyone was at some point heart-powered, soul-led, fully holding all the frequencies, and things went wrong, and the civilization ended in a very ugly way. And the experiment, this Earth experiment, started in a new way. My belief is that our egos, the volume was turned on. Whatever was done on a genetic level was done, and our hearts were calcified to where whoever was on a creator being level running the experiment said, "Good luck. You're on your own. Find your way back. Decalcify your heart. Turn on your full gene potential and find your way back to love, ultimately," right? And it's all here. It's written on the walls. It's in the water. It's the ancient tribes carry that wisdom. They never lost it. And here we are.
That's beautiful.
Finding our way back to it with everything that was left behind for us.
So when you were in Atlanta?
Atlantis?
Not Atlantis. When you were in Atlantis in Egypt, no.
Yeah.
When you were in this dimension, where were you? March 13th. Mm-hmm. You were in the States.
Oh, this was actually in Mexico. I was in Mexico
at
when
that time.
This happened. Yeah.
Is that when you got the voice?
Yeah.
That was the time. So then how did you go from the voice? How did you were then looking at the sun, you were writing, what you were channeling down. What was the next steps? Did you meet your shadow self? What was that like?
Oh yeah, that summer was brutal.
Okay, share the brutal stuff. Just so we can prepare people, really.
I mean, it's not called the dark night of the soul for nothing, right?
Absolutely.
The part of our awakening journey when the beginning stages are always very bright and, oh my gosh, all these abilities, and there are other people on this journey, and I know so much, and they probably want to hear what I have to share. I have these insights. Nobody else has them. It's, those beginning stages.
Yeah.
And then as you are connecting more and allowing more of the soul frequency to drop in and come into your body, the light and shadow, the light and the darkness that is within you start really fighting, start having this moment of, something is not quite right. And it takes, and some people can push back and go back to, their default setting of autopilot. And some people can get stuck on not their own personal shadow, but the collective shadow and the what's wrong with the society and everything, kind of in the chasing. I don't want to call it conspiracy theories because they're really not conspiracy theories, but like getting stuck in that state without looking at themselves. But for you, dear listeners, who are going through your spiritual awakening, and the invitation arises to look at self, this is the best thing I can share. You find yourself at some point pointing fingers at somebody, judging somebody for not being accepting enough or not being honorable enough or whatever it is. And it's all a reflection of you. When you're pointing your finger at somebody, three fingers are pointing back at you, and this is an invitation. Where have I not been honorable? Where have I not been accepting? Who am I not accepting right now? I'm not accepting those people. I'm judging those people. That's the thread you follow. That's what you unravel. That's the work. And the other piece of it, a lot of the time, this stage passes and we go back to more lightness. And then again, we find ourselves judging somebody else. And we find them judging for something that we think we healed it, right? So we find judging somebody on being dishonorable for the same reasons we were dishonorable in some way. And it's because we still have shame around it. We didn't forgive ourselves. So one, we have to confront the shadow and integrate it and really embrace it as part of being human. It's part of who we are. There's no escaping it. It's part of who we are. And then forgiving ourselves for being human. Because that's all of us. That's it. And with forgiveness comes self-acceptance, self-compassion, and then ultimately, hopefully, self-love.
Which is funny you say that. Self-love we have next door. I don't know if have you been to our self-love store?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, it's just next door.
Okay,
on the other side of Wait Rose. I always notice the rose because there's a rose man.
Yeah.
And there's a Wait Rose. I'm not sure what that is waiting for. Self-love, I'm assuming. But that's so beautifully put, and it's so prevalent at this juncture in humanity right now as the split is unfolding. Being that you're from the States, obviously we're looking at the politics, right? And I was swayed from side to side, and emotions, and you're always going to be distorting reality when you're looking at a side, and it's so you can see what it's doing to people, that everybody's pointing at one another at the extremity. I mean, it's extreme at the moment, and I noticed that we can look at one side, we can put our focus in the old earth, but we kind of lose sight of what we're actually moving towards. And I was thinking to myself, New Earth podcast, this is different. Like, I wanted to first be like Russell Brand and do these kind of talks about news and things like this because I was emotionally charged, and as somebody who's coming out of addiction, emotionally charged, when you polarize aside, it's quite tantalizing.
Yeah.
Because we get this dopamine hit, and suddenly we feel righteous, or we can feel victimized, and either way, we're going for the high of emotions, and then we're kind of missing the whole point.
Yeah.
And then in New Earth, it's like this sort of... Yeah. And it may not get sensationalism and get lots of likes and everything else because there's no... there's no extremities. Yeah. This is about, guys, we need to put our focus towards center, love. Yeah. We need to put it towards something. Yes, we have all of that, and it's all well and good for entertainment purposes. But what do you want to align to? That dimension, the frequency of news, if you're right or not. Because if you're right and somebody else is wrong, you're not in love.
Opposition. There's always opposition. It'll just keep going.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It will keep on going. And then I remember hearing this, no organization will ever annihilate its own existence. So whoever's news or podcast has about that realm, they don't want it to go because then they go.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you know what? Let's just step out of this and step into the new earth and create this kind of conversation where we want to put the frequency out there for others who want to resonate with this.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure they're just like, you know what? I want to get off the side. I want to get off the emotional roller coaster. Where can I put my focus? And I want to expand that.
Yeah, those dopamine hits, those cortisol hits, whatever you're
cortisol,
receiving.
exactly.
Enough off this. Get off this train. So remember in the beginning how I said the visual of the one circle descending, and it's like the Vesica Pisces, the new Earth is descending down onto the old Earth and kind of taking over. This visual of the two circles becoming one. If you think about your work here, it's not to be pulling the new Earth and rejecting the old Earth. It's to be creating the network of light, this network of lighthouses that is the new Earth. That when it descends, it takes over the old framework, the old organizations, the old everything. And by giving people voices, by empowering spiritual seekers on their journeys, we are providing them that nudge, that motivation, that you go, you can do this. And there's more of us that are, yes, we have full awareness of all the wars, all the atrocities, all the pain of the everything. We are not closing our eyes, we're seeing it. But we are also holding all sides, the other. We're holding the other in love because we remember who they are. They're fractals. We all have it. And we are not choosing to engage in that inner war because we are projecting it out. Remember what explodes within us, explodes out into the world? No, we are going to build the network of light so that when that bubble descends down like a dome, that new network exists. And we're taking over. And it's a network of love. And that's what you're doing.
Wow, we're doing.
Yeah, we're doing. Yeah.
This is absolutely beautiful because this is about local communities being global communities.
Yes.
And creating these hubs all around the world.
Yes.
These communities where people are
and
not
possibly even galactic.
Exactly.
Beyond
well, this is
global.
what when you were mentioning before about the
beyond.
You were going to join. What were you going to join? The initially your job was to join the what's that organization?
I can't remember now.
You know, the one that's all about peace.
The United Nations.
Yes.
Yeah,
No, I was thinking. No, you're more the Galactic Federation, right?
Yeah. Yes. Whole other podcast about that.
Which is awesome. So you're going through your shadow. So what was the hardest? What did you need to confront within yourself? What was the toughest challenge?
It was honestly, my partner was hard. That connection, but I think the hardest part was the community that I was starting to reject as not awake enough or not this enough, or I was judging them for setting my world on fire in some ways, burning bridges, burning relationships, because there was a part of me that felt I'm like a phoenix, I'm going to be reborn anew. But I wasn't sitting with it. I wasn't seeing the work in accepting everyone. Again, it always goes back to acceptance. That's the ultimate. I wasn't turning the three fingers. I wasn't looking at that for myself. And I was running away from my own darkness in a way. And I think that's what many people are doing. And it's uncomfortable.
What was the darkness?
For me, a lot of it was the judginess, that I'm better than you, that I steal your power by putting myself in a better place than you, in a more holy, in a more devoted, in a more connected, in a more whatever it is.
I relate in such a big way, working on that specialness.
But the judgment, honestly, that was always my like in my values, talking about the first part of the wheel of heart-powered living, the intention, it was always, I want to be a more accepting, it's really hard to say, I want to embody love. I find that we have to break it down into qualities of love that are more easily accessible, that we can really connect with. So for me, it was compassion. And when I understood that compassion was the antidote to judgment, that's when things started to shift. When I realized that I needed to see that you are a product of your generations that preceded you, your grandparents, your parents, the way that your parents messed you up in some ways, that boyfriend in college, that whatever. I'm talking to those women that I was rejecting at the time.
Yeah.
You know, in that there is a piece of you that I'm rejecting that is actually a piece of me that I'm rejecting. And it's only when I was able to have compassion for their experience, embrace, and it didn't mean that I have to be best friends with you. It doesn't mean that we have to be in each other's lives, but at least I come from a place of neutrality. I neutralize it by alchemize that by taking that judgment and shifting it into compassion and then acceptance and then love. And now I can visualize the people who I was really having conflict with at that time and send them love truly from a place of, I wish you well, bless you, just bless you.
How did you get to that point? Is that what you created, the heart center methodology?
That was through that, but also the more soul guidance readings I was doing, the more mentoring and coaching I was doing with clients, the more I was seeing that everybody, one, has the same issues, and two, seeing how courageous they were to share their own junk, their own darkness with me in that moment, unlocked me in a way. So they were my teachers as I was a guide and a teacher for them. I mean, we're all here to learn from each other and reflect the light and the shadow and play. And ultimately, I really don't think Spirit wants it to be so serious. I don't think that was ever the intention. I think it was, can you do this through lightness? Can you do this through play? Can you neutralize this by not charging it with more of your human stiffness?
Well, it's not surprising. I went to the dentist this morning. I said I would give him a wink. Thank you, MedSpace. I think that's their name. Wink. Ding. Just a little polish. And she asked me, about the podcast and New Earth, and and I got into the conversation about scarcity and fear, and why if humanity why have we grown from that soil, the seedling? Well, if 12,500 years ago, say if this cataclysmic event did wipe out all these ancient civilizations and we've forgotten that's how extreme it was, then we've had to survive from a very dark place, which is obviously within our genome, our ancestral line, that it's still an echo effect of this sort of, the capitalistic kind of mentality, survival, money will protect us, because obviously, it's deeply innate in our sort of psyche, and we're now kind of bursting out of that to actually give ourselves over to a higher power, that actually we have all the security we'll ever need when we let go. And it's like, my goodness, thank goodness, because all I've ever done is survive. And stepping out of that, it's like, that means I have to trust. And for somebody who is an addict, like most people are, right? Our toughest challenge is actually becoming intimate, because that means we have to trust, we have to love, and we have to let go of dependency. And there's a lot of little factors going on that's part of the journey, and I've noticed. So it's beautiful that you have this sort of technology, because in the 12 steps, and the fourth step is about resentment. And how to dissolve resentment. You have to make an inventory of all the people you have resentment to. You're like, I don't have any resentment because I am... Okay, let me look at this. Yeah. Okay, there's a lot. Because we want to spiritually bypass, the work. Because it is hard work. Yeah. To actually look at that and go through it all.
You have to excavate. You have to,
Excavate, that's quite an interesting word to use. Because we're starting to excavate.
You have to get in the dungeon and excavate.
Yeah, it's so true. Because we're doing excavation, we're actually uncovering these ancient civilizations, right? Ultimately we're remembering. We're starting to see what, we weren't ready to see.
What they did wrong, and then how that all Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. Resentment is such a, it eats you. It just eats you, and it's also you fighting life. It's you fighting yourself. It's you fighting, creating suffering for yourself. It's being stuck in that suffering. Resentment is, I think it's beautiful that it's part of the 12
human
steps.
experience.
Yes, but
Yeah.
part of the human experience and part of the 12 steps to release and alchemize it,
Well,
because it
that's
eats
the number
you,
one
it
that brings
really-
you back. They say if you're an alcoholic, that would bring you back to alcoholism, because the resentment is ultimately, I demand you to be this way.
Yes.
And like the world is a stage. I'm the director. I'm
Yeah.
the star.
Yeah.
You
Yep.
need to do what I want you to do. And then when you do everything, then I'll be happy. But shouldn't then? Is anybody ever
Yeah.
truly happy? Is everybody ever going to do exactly what you want? Of course not. But it's a tiresome. I mean, it's extraordinarily. What's the word I'm looking for? It's exhausting.
Yeah.
And powerful leaders are looking to make sure everybody does what they want to do. You
Yeah.
have all these globalist elites. It's
Yeah.
very much about controlling people. How do you see that playing out?
I'm hearing, let it be. Like, let them be. Let everyone be.
All right, bring
Because
on John Lennon.
otherwise you're at arms, you're fighting, you're in a position, right? And it will play out. One of the things in Egypt, what was revealed to me is, remember how in every ancient civilization, and every, maybe not even that ancient, how the priests and priestesses were so closely intertwined with the kings and the rulers and the pharaohs, because they communicated with the divine. They had spiritual practices. They invested energy and consciousness into visioning, into holding timelines, like holding on to timelines. The way that was shown to me was tectonic plates. It's like sliding a rug under something, changing something. So what can we do? We can hold the vision for the highest good by envisioning a different society, by envisioning a different structure, by envisioning community where cooperation among sisters instead of competition is what's encouraged, sisters and brothers. But I find that in women, I work with a lot of women, competition amongst women has been so bred into our way of being, that's one of the things that, for the New Earth business structures especially, women who are leading a lot of this spiritual movement, New Earth, birthing the New Earth, that is one of the things that we're here to overcome. So not saying, I'm here to fight competition in female-led businesses. No, I'm here to be an example of what cooperation looks like in female-led businesses. I'm here to build a network of light. That's what we focus on.
Conscious leadership.
Yes.
Win for you, win for me, win
Yes.
for the community.
Yes. And remember the figure eight, the exercise that we did where the figure eight goes out into the world and comes back to you, that's connected to abundance. That's connected to the money flowing from your heart. You're putting the energy out, and the universe rewards you with all the tenfold, with abundance coming back to you. Because money is energy, right? It's flowing back to you. So if we can start to see that business is not me giving you 20 dirhams for this, but it's actually the universe funneling 20 dirhams to you through me, that's a totally different switch we get to make. We get a different mindset, different frequency, different way of operating.
It's like my wife and I sometimes say when we pay for something, when we remember, may it come back multiplied like loaves and fishes.
Yes,
It's like,
yes.
at the end of the day, everything's an investment.
Yes.
Well, like New Earth Cafe, you come here, some place, if you go to KFC, it's a cost, right? You think you're saving money, but it's a cost because it takes something from you. But here you're investing in your health I did my blood
I could
test
smell that oil. You
recently.
said KFC, and I could just smell the smell of the oil coming from that chicken. When
You
you
know,
walk by
and
it.
it's
Yeah.
like, but when you invest in yourself in here, like I looked at my blood works recently, like I've preserved my body for there's something going on inside me. Thankfully, because of the lifestyle I led, it's preserved me enough to deal with. I'm going to see a specialist tomorrow, and I'm doing a documentary following my journey. There's something else going on with the spiritual meeting and the science. You can't, you bring them together. Well, it's going to be part of the journey, and I'll share it another time. But I want to go to you. You had you're meeting your darkness, your shadow. Really appreciate you sharing that, because I think that's the most beautiful quality. What you're showing right now is ultimately the new earth. There is no side. It's just balance, equanimity. Everything's impermanent. It's all about love, meeting yourself with a loving, open heart, and go, there is no side. You are me anyway. So what's the point being angry and upset? Why do I want to distort my, levels and my cortisol, and basically not seek that high from the emotions
And
we
create
get.
suffering for myself.
Exactly. It makes no sense. And, which is a very self-loving act. How did you then go from there to then come to Dubai?
Whew. We weren't supposed to come here, actually. April 23, so just a little over a year ago, my husband and I made the decision to move to Hawaii for a different job. Wow. And change of life, we were living in Austin, Texas, and we were planning to move to a new location, try something different.
Was that because of your sort of, you wanted to get out of that place? You weren't feeling like you could open your wings?
I've moved 23 times in my life, so it was time.
Why
not?
time.
I spent 14 years on and off in Austin. It was time.
Okay.
And he walked into his boss's office and was like, "My wife really wants to change. We're looking for some adventure." And his boss was like, "Oh man, just today this job opening start in Dubai. How about that?" And my husband was like, "Wait, what?" Because this was Monday morning. Sunday night, we were sitting, I remember this, we were sitting on our couch in the living room. And I said to him, "I don't know if we're making a mistake by moving to Hawaii, because it's in the middle of nowhere in Pacific Ocean. I want my kids to grow up the same way as I did, traveling, seeing the world. I want to take them to Egypt. I want to take them to Greece, Turkey, all these places." Well, we went to Egypt in December.
That is, it's right next door, isn't it?
We made the decision to pivot, and people are like, "But wasn't it the right choice?" I'm like, it doesn't matter. There's no wrong choice. That's how we get to live. We get to say,
there's always going to be
we're
both
just
sides.
Experiencing, it's all experiences. And had we not initiated the job search and investigated the whole Hawaii option, he would have never, his boss would have never volunteered this position. So we would have stayed, and something new would have happened. And I firmly believe we magnetize opportunities to us and create our reality, that we are creative beings. That's what we're here to remember. And not through the faulty, fearful ego mind, through the process of that, forced manifestation, but through allowing all of life to flow through us and surprise us. Surprise us. What is better? And Hawaii will always be there.
It's true. Well, you hope so.
And we got to come here and have these different experiences. And through this experience, discover the other things that we're passionate about, other projects, meet other people, create new networks of light. And all we had to do was to say yes, and then everything fell in place.
That's beautiful. How have you found Dubai and your community? Have you met people?
Honestly, the first year was really rough. I feel like my body, I felt like
that is Dubai way for you.
I kept saying, I'm like that olive tree that just can't get my roots in the sand and make it home. So I really, after 6 months, I was like, oh, can we just leave? Can we go somewhere else? But I see so much beauty and so much potential here. I see a lot of genius, creative genius here, that is just waiting to be connected to the right source, so that they can channel this, so that this can be the place where the new technologies, the new healing modalities, are birthed. And one of the visions, one of the timelines that I have been shown was that Dubai has the capacity, the potential to become the first crystalline city, like this new, like Mecca, this light city in not just the region but the world. But we have some work to do. We have to switch into living from the heart and not the ego. We have to put our love for humanity, for our brothers and sisters, for the earth, for the water, for nature first, above profit margin, or whatever the fear-driven motivator might be.
Doesn't it feel like it's already happened, in the sense that I've noticed myself that, my way gets in the way, and the only way is a divine way.
Yeah.
And the more we surrender, it's like it's a given. Light, and this is all
Light
the
wins. Light is already here.
and so it's just a matter of going, I can
Yeah.
just surrender and just
Yes.
now be surprised by what is
Yes.
coming through.
Yes.
And we're just a vessel for the divine to then for us to witness this miracle, this beauty, this manifestation in this 3D realm as we transcend and ascend and everything else. It's
and the light that you hold will keep penetrating people who say, oh, I want what he's having. It's not happy. It's like he's so content. Ooh, what is he having? How is he living his life? How can I bring that? And they'll bring it into their workspace, and they'll bring that into their communities, into their families. And it's like once you, the experiments with water, once you add a drop of water that's been charged with love into the dirty water, it like changes the frequency of all water. That's how we are. Like as we add this Andara infused water to the great waters that all of Dubai is drinking from, something is going to change.
That's beautiful you say that, because one of the experiments, like this is how I bought this machine. They have this pH drops they put into normal water, and it goes a certain acidic color. But with the Kangen water, if you pour that water into an acidic water, it turns it purple because it's so alkaline naturally, because it's been brought back to life. So you can actually see it go purple. So it's the very drops of it, and that's a perfect analogy for what you just used.
Yeah. But ultimately, we can only, again, it always goes back to what can I do? What can I do? And not sit and fester, allow that resentment, allow that judgment of something that feels broken, that looks broken to you, fester within you, and say, okay, I'm going to use this as the fire that ignites me into action and build what I want to build. And know that if this is coming through for me, and it's not in opposition to something, but it's truly coming from a place of love, it's supported. And the right people and the right financial help, everything will come. The right platforms will come, just like how I ended up here. In April, when I looked, you didn't have any spots on your calendar. And yesterday, when you popped in my mind, and I looked, it's like, what do you mean? It's less than 24 hours, and Spirit is like, you got this, girl. You got this. Just send in your request, and here we are.
And it's just like bing. I was like, what? Okay. And it's busy at the moment. Everything's just, and it was just like, boom. Okay. Well, all right, let's do it. And it's been amazing.
It was supported.
And it's
it was in the flow.
Yes, it was, and that is what ultimately water is all about. You really are, because you're living what it is you're saying, and that's the beauty, because it's about authenticity.
You're flowing with life instead of resisting it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And going to what you were saying about, living it, in the Quran, I think it's a good time to put this in. There is a page in the Quran, I read the Quran, right, and I looked at certain things that just sort of popped out, and it said in there, if you know it, you do not need to teach it. So I'm going to put it up there. People might not believe it, because when I see debates and I see that, Muslims are arguing with Christians, and in the Quran it says, if you know it, you don't need to debate anybody. In fact, Allah would basically suggest you not to go out there and teach and debate, because if you're doing that, you're already having to attract a side. And then it's about, is it about the teachings, or is it about the person being right? If you really embody it and you live, that will inspire people to then become a part of that, or become the part.
Yeah.
The essence of love is what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Rather than being logical and intelligent about it, because we miss the point. Does the Quran, does the Bible, does any of it bring you to your heart with your love,
100%.
unity, love? If that's what helped you to unlock it and you live it, then that is all the proof in the pudding you need. But if you're reading these texts and you're intellectual and you're arguing and you're not living according to it, have people missed the point? And is it time to bring about a new earth, a new philosophy, something that it resonates with the times now?
Well, I think it's like any book, any text that you would read or any information you would consume. You can read something and put a checkbox and say, I am a good Christian for reading the Bible, and I am check mark. Or you could extract that one wisdom, and that will be your truth, and that will be how you live your life. And for somebody, it is that. And for you, it might be the question of, well, how would I approach this if I was living fully in New Earth? If that reality has descended down on us, how would I live there? And the answer would come, I would be an example. I would hold the frequency of that. And I would entrain the other into this frequency, like a tuning fork, which is the same thing that Quran says. So you wouldn't teach, you would just be. You would just be.
Exactly.
That's what it was trying to say. Yeah.
That's beautiful. And we haven't got too much long left, but I do want to go into your recent challenges in Egypt. For those who haven't seen that, you are wearing something on your...
No, I took it off, but I do have some gnarly scars.
I had a feeling it would be your left arm.
It is
because
my left
that is the feminine
receiving.
side, and that is the receiving. I didn't
receiving.
think you'd have the... I knew it'd be an issue with the receiving. So tell me a little bit about that, please.
So first of all, about 11 years ago, I slipped. I was running breakneck speed and slipped and fell and broke my wrist and had to get some hardware put in my wrist to keep it together. And it was my left hand, and I was actually, remember that morning, I was like, I need a break, I'm so tired. And there it was, a break. And I owned a jewelry business at the time, so I couldn't really do anything. And universe gave me a break. Exactly. So fast forward to 2 weeks ago, I was in Egypt on a pilgrimage with a small group of women for Lionsgate. And on our last day, I was walking through the hotel. We checked into the hotel, was leaving the next day. I slipped in a very funny way. I fell forward. There was nobody behind me. I was wearing Birkenstocks, not slippery. It wasn't wet, and I slipped forward, and I fell on my left arm, the same one that I broke the wrist, and I fell on it, and I broke both of the bones in a very dramatic full break. Full break. So for a moment, my arm looked like a snake, which if you look here, there's a snake tattoo right under where I broke my arm. Oh my goodness. Which was put here about 6 weeks ago.
Oh, wow.
So this is recent. So when I was, first of all, I think the experience would have been very different if it happened to me mid-school year when I was frustrated with Dubai traffic and my kids and whatnot. I was so high on life and all things spiritual experiences in this moment that there was no pain. I went straight away into bringing in Reiki, holding myself in this bubble of light, and I don't think I ever really stopped smiling or laughing or cracking jokes, even though it was horrible pain. But when I was in the car going to the hospital, I was like, okay, why is this happening? What's happening? And they said, it was time for you to stop filtering what experiences come to you, because this is my left hand, it's the receiving hand. The right hand is the giving hand. If you're ever charging crystals, take a crystal and hold in your left hand to receive its energy. It's the one that we receive from. If you're going outside, receive with your left hand, ask to receive. So anyways, this was the hand through which I filtered a lot of my experiences. And for me, there was a lot of fear around physical pain. I didn't want to be Oh, careful, I don't want to fall because there was a memory of breaking my wrist in the past. I was afraid to feel pain, and I wouldn't go and do something because I was afraid. And here was this experience. Bones were being broken, breaking structures within to release that fear. Look, you're going to be in terrible pain when they adjusted and splinted and you have to fly back home for surgery, but you'll be okay. And I sat on the plane and I was like, I'm okay. It was pain and it was okay, and I'm free. I am free. Like, truly, I have no fear of pain. I am free. And I no longer filter any life, any life circumstances. I'm open to receive whatever needs to come through me, because everything has its purpose in a way. It's all experiences that I came here to have. I signed up. My guides tell me, you begged to come here for this. This is the culmination of all lifetimes, for me and for many of us, for you too probably. And who are you to filter it? Who are you to say, oh, I'm not going to do this? Yes, yes, I welcome all of life. Let it flow through me. And, it's a big inconvenience. I write a lot, and I can only type with one hand because my doctor said, 6 weeks. You'll be lucky if it heals in 6 weeks. It was like a jigsaw puzzle and has a lot of hardware now. And I was like, okay, we'll see. 4 weeks, I think we'll be okay, but
Wow.
check in with me then. But, and it was that, and it was also putting me into, remember how I said that the water is the womb of the mother, it's the void? Many of us still run the program of, I have to keep going, I have to do, unless I'm doing, I'm not producing, I'm not adding value, I'm not attracting my clients, I'm not expanding, I'm not, whatever your reason for more abundance to flow through you, you're still in that. And the universe said, here, rest is water, it's the element of water, rest is the void. Allow yourself to be held by the Great Mother, allow yourself to take a break and allow all to come to you. Just hold that frequency of love that you know to do, even through the pain, even through the inconvenience, and see what happens. Run it as an experiment instead of go, go, go. It's like, okay, I'll take it. It's okay, it happens. My daughter says, at least it's not your leg. I'm like, oh, thank you, baby.
Thank you, baby. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
And, it's so liberating for you to be able to confront the pain. It's very much, when I was doing Vipassana, the Buddha technique is all about not building any more sankharas in the subconscious, because we want to move away from pain and towards pleasure. And every time we do that, we're creating these negative sankharas. Yeah. It's actually embracing both unilaterally, subjectively, looking at them at the same. That's the same thing.
Not assigning meaning to it.
Yes, and just looking at both the same. Like, okay, I'm in pain. That's okay.
Yeah.
And it's pleasure. That's okay. It's all impermanent. It's all going to move. So you're having these lessons, and if we don't embrace that pain or that fear in the past, it's going to show up again until we get the lessons.
And I say thank you for teaching me what you came here to teach. I got it. No more of this loop. Moving on to the next one, up the spiral.
That's
if we're ready. It's. I think our mind always wants to assign, oh, that's so terrible that happened to you. Oh, somebody said, do you think maybe it was the dark energies because you were doing so much light? I'm like, no, I'm not going there. It doesn't matter. And if it was, it's all good. I'm here to have an experience, and I am having an experience. And it's the only experience I can have right now. If I'm imagining what it would be like if I didn't have this, I'd be suffering big time.
That's beautiful. Well, what you're touching on is the very thing that the ancient, wisdom talks about. It's that finding that neutrality. And I hope that people listening to this really identify with you, knowing how to then embrace that side of them. And if they don't, and they want to know more about this heart method that was like knocking on your door, you better use this name. No, not there. Yeah. You resisted it, but you allowed it to come into your existence. And it's so far, you're the proof of the pudding. How do people find you? How are they going to, interact with you? What? Yeah. How can they find you?
So my company is called Heart Powered Living, You could find me on Instagram. You could find me on my website. I work with men and women, primarily women, on guiding them to bring this magic back into your life, healing relationships. I also work with women in building spiritual businesses, very much anchoring the template of the New Earth business in the body, in the earth, and connecting a sisterhood of like-hearted, like-minded people around the world through courses, programs, one-on-one work, travel together, and yeah, anchoring the light in Dubai right now.
That's beautiful. And would you then be open for anyone who's listening to this who's in Dubai to do a workshop from here?
Oh, I would love that.
Okay,
that
cool.
would be amazing. That would be amazing. Come play. We would make it so playful, so interactive, and experience the magic that is literally waiting, like that explosion of light is waiting to come through from your heart and explode out into your life and into the world.
That's beautiful. I think anybody who's listening to this and you want to be a part of that, please do comment, let us know, reach out. We'd absolutely love it. And we know we're going to put it in here, and it's needed. This world needs it.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Is there anything you'd like to share, the final thought, anything to leave people with? I mean, you've given so much value in this episode.
Today, as you're listening to this, see if you can look at one person in your life differently. If you could look at them with devotion, with more respect, with more love in your heart, and allow yourself to be a witness to their unfolding, because that is, we're all wanting love. We all want to be seen. And when we can give somebody that gift of presence, that witnessing, what a gift it is. It makes them feel safe to have their own awakening, to have their own heart opening. One person at a time. That's all it takes.
That's beautiful. And it starts with us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you, Kat. Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much
Alex.
for coming.
Thank you for
It's
having
been
me.
absolute
Thank
honor.
you.
And I know so many people are going to get something from this. So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you to the
Thank
divine.
you.
And thank you for all watching
you.
and being a part of this beautiful movement. It's just expanding. It's just unfolding. And we're all witnessing this together. So thank you for making this all
We're here
reality.
for the greatest party in the universe.
Exactly. Like the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy,
Yeah.
you know? Absolutely. Really. All right, guys, thank you so much. And please do subscribe and watch and for fellow episodes that are coming up. And we're going to be doing workshops and there's so much more to come from Kat. All right. I know I say like bye 10 times before we actually finish. So goodbye. We vibe when you subscribe.